Homeless girl begs Big Shaq for help. The shocking secret she reveals will leave you speechless. The icy wind howled through the streets of London, swirling around the ankles of pedestrians who rushed past, too caught up in their own lives to notice the small, shivering figure sitting hunched on the pavement. Her fingers, raw and cracked, clutched a cardboard sign with trembling hands. It read, "Hungry. Cold. Please help." Her name was Lila. She was only 15, but hardship had carved years onto her face. Life had not been kind to her. She had no home, no family, just the tattered hoodie on her back and the hope that someone, anyone, would see her. As she sat near a bustling cafe, her stomach clenched with hunger. The scent of fresh pastries and rich coffee filled the air, a cruel reminder of the world she no longer belonged to. She pulled her knees to her chest, trying to make herself smaller, invisible. But deep down, she didn't want to disappear. She wanted to be seen. Then, the ground shook. Well, not literally, but it felt like it when a towering figure approached. Lila's eyes widened as she recognized him. Big Shaq, the rapper, comedian, and internet sensation. His massive frame and infectious personality had made him a star. "Yo, little one," he said, his voice deep but gentle. "You all right?" Lila hesitated, her throat dry. People passed her by every day, but nobody stopped. Not like this. "And no," she admitted, barely above a whisper. Big Shaq crouched down, his expression softening. "You eaten today?" Lila shook her head, ashamed. Without another word, he pulled a crumpled bill from his pocket and handed it to her. "Here, get yourself something warm, yeah?" Lila's fingers wrapped around the money, but instead of saying thank you, she did something unexpected. She looked up at him, eyes brimming with something deeper than gratitude. "I need more than food," she said. Her voice trembled, but she didn't waver. "I need help." Big Shaq's brow furrowed. "What kind of help, little one?" Lila glanced around, lowering her voice. "I know who my father is." The rapper blinked. "Come again." "I know who my father is," she repeated. "But he doesn't know about me." Shaq sat down on the curb beside her, ignoring the curious glances from onlookers. "Who is he?" She swallowed hard. "He's famous. Like you." For a moment, Big Shaq didn't respond. His mind raced. He had met countless celebrities, artists, and athletes. Could it be? Lila reached into her backpack, the only thing she had left from her past life, and pulled out a faded photograph. A young man stood in the picture, his arm wrapped around a beautiful woman. And next to them, a baby. Big Shaq inhaled sharply. He knew that face. The man in the photo wasn't just anyone. He was one of the biggest rap stars in the world. Lila studied Big Shaq's reaction. "You know him, don't you?" Shaq nodded slowly. "Yeah, I do." Tears welled in Lila's eyes. "I don't want money. I don't want fame. I just want to know if he ever thought about me. If he ever cared." Shaq exhaled, rubbing his face. "This is heavy." Lila's voice cracked. "Please, you're the only one who's listened. The only one who's cared enough to ask if I'm okay." A deep silence stretched between them. Then, slowly, Big Shaq nodded. "All right," he said. "Let's find out the truth." The search for the truth. The next few days were a whirlwind. Big Shaq took Lila under his wing, making sure she had food, a warm bed, and a safe place to stay. But more than that, he made calls. He reached out to his industry connections, trying to get in touch with the man in the photo. And then, one evening, his phone rang. "I need to see her," the voice on the other end said. It was deep, filled with emotions too tangled to unravel. Shaq looked over at Lila, sitting on the couch in his apartment, clutching a cup of tea with both hands. She had been waiting for this moment her entire life. "He's coming," Shaq said. Lila froze. Her heart pounded in her chest as the hours ticked by. Then, a knock at the door. Shaq opened it. There, standing in the dim hallway, was the man from the photograph. A world-famous artist. A legend. Lila's father. He stepped inside, his gaze locking onto Lila's. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then, his face crumpled, as if years of questions and regrets crashed down on him all at once. "You?" His voice was hoarse. "You're really her." Lila's lip trembled. "You didn't know about me, did you?" He shook his head. "No. If I had." His voice broke. "I would have looked for you." Lila swallowed hard. "And now that you do?" He stepped forward, his hands shaking. "Now that I do, I'll never let you go again." Lila collapsed into his arms, sobbing. And for the first time in years, she felt something she had almost forgotten. She felt safe. A new beginning. The world learned Lila's story. The internet buzzed with headlines. But beyond the fame and the spectacle, something even greater happened. Lila found a home. A family. Big Shaq didn't just walk away after that night. He stayed in her life, a mentor, a friend, a brother. And as she stood in the front row of a sold-out concert, watching her father perform, she knew that miracles weren't just found in fairy tales. Sometimes, all it took was one person stopping to ask, "Are you all right?"